This is a training video for those of the agents that want to use the FMBC to process a application. I'm just gonna share a screen real quick. And when the agents log in, this is the screen you usually see. And we're gonna go to a new quote. And let's see. As you can see in the upper right corner, they have a blue Q and a green A. You start out in the quote mode, but if your customer is ready to go proceed, then you click this to turn it to an application and it turns green. But we want to do a quote mode. The first thing you do, we're going to work through the tabs today. You start with the primary named insured. It's giving me the error because I'm in test mode. But you would normally your agency will pop up automatically for you when you go ahead and process a quote. So I'm putting in just a sample agency, fake agency to get started. And this will be the contact. If your contact's in there already, then you just let it default to what it is. Unless you need to modify it, then you just click on the little person and you can change the address if they're writing a separate policy for another location. We have to put in a birth date, that is mandatory. And then an address. This is their mailing address. And then a phone number is required. And an email is required. I'm just going to put in my personal one. For the liability, we use State Auto Mutual because we are a farm mutual, so we do not provide liability, but we give the option partnering with State Auto Mutual. And for their policies, the phone number and an email is mandatory and required. So now we have made that field mandatory. So I know for a quote, you'll probably put in something fake, but please remember when you get to that application, you need to modify that and correct that. It's putting in today's date, defaulting, but you can always backdate one day, or you can go ahead several months if you need to. And now it's telling me I need a policy type. I'm just clicking so that you can always see errors. It won't let you go forward until you see something. And it defaults to Texas. I'm just going to click everything so you can see everything. And you can play with this. You can't click nothing wrong. This is NBR, new construction. Or we're going to do homeowners. It's going to let me click back out of it. There we go. This is for your homeowners policy. Any remodels, anything, you choose homeowners. And this drop down is for a landlord for the rentals. You choose that one. We go next. And now we're going to add a property. So when you put in their mailing address, if it's the same, you can just click this. It'll default and automatically autofill for you. But if they have a secondary and you need to change the location, you just wipe it out and change it. And a lot of times it'll default to a county. And please double check that. Some addresses are right on the border, so you correct the county because sometimes it may change your rates. Here's where you'll add a mortgagee. Let's just put one in. Let's see, it'll autofill. And currently this is the main one Rocket Mortgage uses. So we're just going to put the wrong one in for now. And then you don't really have to put a description in. It doesn't print on the deck. But if you need to just put some information there, you may do so. And then photos. These are required. So this is where you can then hit upload. And then I think some options you can drop and drag, but I think you have to upload, but please put photos here. This makes it so much easier for us to process when we can just click on it and it shows the picture right away on the screen, that we don't have to go hunt for it. Now we're going to the next section. This is your ratings tab. This is where you put in your pricing and all the information on the home. So we will just do a little 100,000 here. And we're going to call it, our cutoff is like 1965 for the system for replacement. So if we put anything above 1965, we can pretty well, if we have the square footage and the dollar amount, system will let it go to replacement. Here's the exterior of the home. If it's truly been hardy plank, brick, metal, log, wood frame. Here's where you really need to pay attention on. If you do a mobile home, it needs to be a single or double checked. And then if you have a mobile home, there's the next drop down below, a couple below it. We need to know that you got to click that manufactured home, or it's not going to rate you the correct pricing. If you click this one, it's just going to go like a wood frame pricing, but you got to do then manufactured home for mobile home at 2 spots, construction type and dwelling type. And the system defaults to 10% other structures that at no charge, and 40% contents coverage at no charge. But you can go if they have more high-end items or a lot of items in the home, they can go 50% or higher, up to 100% of the home value, but it's pretty pricey by the time you get up that amount. Let's just do a 1,500 square foot. And we know we put it as a primary. If they do a secondary, if it's truly a secondary home, it's a little higher, but not much, but you really needed to rate it correctly. And usually it'll default, like if you have family living right next door, you have a second property and you say have one of your children living in that one. Well, you can cover it as a secondary, but your child is living in it. You can have other options there. You have composition or metal roof. Those are our 2 options. We do not do clay tile. Monitored alarm, if they have it, you can select it. It does not give any credit for it, so if you forget, that's okay. Remodel. If you check yes, that means they are going to be remodeling. Not that it has finished remodeling. This one pertains to that you're going to start remodeling. And then we need like a start value of the home, and then you put in the amount of what will be the finished amount. So we'll start like say at $90 a square foot. That's cash value. But if once they're through remodeling, then you can change it. We can have it changed to replacement at the right pricing. Since we have 1,500 on square foot, and we normally do 150 as a minimum for a house, so we'd have to put 225 for minimum coverage. Then we're going to rate and save. See, it gave me an error. Other structures. Didn't automatically put it there for me this time. Only since I'm in test mode here. Let's see. Now what else? Here's got blanket theft options. You can remove that or do 10,000 or 20,000. This is the liability, but I want to show you more options up here. Say you want to add small equipment. You would choose one of them, like your ATVs, zero turns. That would go under small equipment. If you're going to add over 35 horsepower tractor, that goes under large equipment. You would click that one. If you have, here it says 2,500 or more on a value on something like a jewelry, if you want to schedule that, but we need appraised value on that appraisal and a photo, you can schedule that. I like to click loss of use because you factor in your total insurance value. The TIV is A, B, C, and loss of use, so it cannot go over $1 million. We're farm mutual. And let's see what else. If you have a wood stove, if you have separate garage, detached, another structure, you might have it attached, so you have that one falls on the other tab. Like if you have a pool, these are all add-ins. Please use them. I mean, you can always click the red X to remove it. That way, at least we have it on your quote. Like if you have several items for just the quote, you would add it up. Like say, we're going to put 15,000. It's probably going to give you an error code because anything over 15,000 requires an override by underwriting to review it. Especially like ATVs, they go here. They're 20,000 or more, so we'll need a copy of the invoice and a photo, and then we will override. Large equipment, this is for your bigger tractors. We have some large farms that have over $200,000 with large equipment. They have 4 or 5 tractors on here. That is fine, but we just, let's see, we have to do that one over 15,000. What did we just put? Okay. And then we'll hit rate and save. Anytime there's an error code, it'll pop up on your screen and you just follow through. And as you can see, loss of use does not charge you, but we just like to see that on the screen for when we have these higher end and high dollars to make sure we don't go over our $1 million. And here's the liability section. If you want to quote for liability, you have to email us at info@fmbctx.com, so we can run it through State Auto's program. They don't have an auto default for rate like we used to have. They base it off your insurance rating, and there are, for those under 50 years of age, this amount would probably be around $100. If you're over 50, that's probably going to run you about $50 to $60. So it bases off your age and rating. So we're finding we're saving our customers a lot more money on liability. As you can see, we can go up to $2 million for the large farms. If you need $2 million, we can go up to $2 million. If you need it on a rental, they'll do a rental, but after 6, it's considered a business, and they will not do it. If it's basing it off of your primary home as the main home, then we can extend it to 6 rentals. But if it's just rentals only, State Auto's been flagging them and kicking them back and not letting us do it. And by putting this information, this helps us on our quoting. If we don't know how much you want it for, we may email you and say we need it, because then we'll come back, we'll check this and put the amount in there for you. So we're going to go ahead and proceed. And on your quotes, this is in quote mode, so that doesn't have any of the information drop downs popping up. I'll show you when we get that far what we need for quoting liability. There'll be drop downs here, like this will have a little triangle, and it'll have information in there, and there'll be policy application here. We'll have a triangle. That's where it'll open up, and that's where you put in your information on the home, whether you have a pool, whether you have how many acres, distance to the fire station, fire hydrant, the information we need to get a State Auto quote. That will be in this drop down. So I know it's hassle, but we've sent out a form too. You can either fill out that form, but